I felt and saw this presence of something like a ghost.
As I was reaching for my keys, something growled at me coming out of the basement.
It was bad energy. I was sort of feeling like I was letting Satan out of hell.
I saw out of the corner of my eye what I thought was the girl falling off the roof.
I couldn't think. It was so loud and I was so terrified that I just froze.
I'm not calling for that. I'm calling because I'm freaking out here.
I felt this presence trying to push itself down on top of me very violently.
It would not go away. It was freaking me out. I look at my arm and it's got a scratch on it.
Welcome everybody to Ghost of Greystone. My name is Clete.
And I'm Chris.
And we are those Keith brothers. And I can't thank you enough for joining us yet again, hopefully, for this next episode, which is episode 7 now.
This is our 7th episode?
7th episode.
Pretty exciting.
And very exciting.
Before we start, what's going on with this?
What?
What's going on with this?
Why do you bring that up?
I'm just pointing it out. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll talk about it. If you want to talk about it, I'll talk about it.
No, I want to talk about ghosts.
Oh, I do too. But why did you bring that up in the first place?
It looked a little, last week I was going like, it looks a little dirty for the audience.
We were off a week or so because I got ill.
Oh.
I got sick, and then so this started growing. And let me just be honest with you. We're going to get into the ghost right away. Let me be honest with you. As I'm losing hair up here, the best thing to do is grow hair down here.
Oh.
Because then people look at you and they don't look at the monkey butt. And that's a question. Wait.
Okay.
We're going to get going. But I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Where's yours?
My what?
Monkey butt. Why don't you have one? Do we have the same father? That's the question.
Okay. That's enough.
There was a bald milkman.
I apologize
you
for
remember
him.
Charlie. Charlie the milkman was bald.
He was bald.
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
What does that say?
Come to think of it.
What does that say?
I apologize. We're going to get right into it. The first location,
okay.
Lots of activity, a lot of activity down this way.
Well, first of all, let's talk about what kind of things we're going to be getting into, because we're going to be getting into screams, right?
Yes.
Screams and like spirit conversations and voices and sounds, all
poltergeists.
that stuff.
But this area is the servants' wing.
Right.
First floor.
Right. So first floor. This is right outside the historic kitchen. So just to the north of the historic kitchen, you walk right outside that door, and you're in an area that is really active. And remember, the majority of these, I believe today, the majority of these happen during the day, not at night.
Yeah.
There's one at night for sure.
Yeah.
That's a great one. But this is during the day most of them.
Okay.
So who are we starting with?
The first one, this event was heard by 2 people.
Okay.
This one. Mm-hmm. This is with Dan Hernandez.
Oh, okay. Let me. This is wild. Let me set this up for you.
This is a good one.
Okay.
Don't tip it.
I'm not gonna tip it.
All right.
So Dan and I are still very good friends, and we would show up early and at 5:00 and have coffee and talk about the day and basketball and stuff. I wasn't there. This is a Sunday, I think. I think it might be a Sunday. So Dan gets there, and a lot of times he'll get there early. And then sometimes he has to use the restroom to relieve himself early morning. I'm not going to say what he's doing. I'm not going to say what he's doing.
Go ahead. Move it along.
Okay, I'm just saying he had to relieve himself, right? So Dan is in the restroom, and he's relieving himself, and this is what he hears.
So I came in. Was it a Sunday? It was a Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, this was early morning. This is probably 8:30, 9 o'clock. More close to 8:30. I unarmed the mansion early. I was in the office. And then I came into the kitchen, the catering kitchen here, and I needed to use the restroom. So I was in the restroom. Our day porter, Martin, was mopping the floor.
Where?
In the grand hall. Mm-hmm. And I was in the restroom, and I heard a little girl scream down the hall. I walk outside to see if I heard anybody setting up for a party in the neighborhood. Nothing. So I go down to the grand hall where Martin was mopping, and I asked him, did you hear something? And he says, the little girl screamed. So he heard it too. It sounded like it was down the hall.
When down hall meaning what?
Right here in the servants' quarter hall. Yeah. It just seemed like it was just down the hallway.
And it sounded like a little girl.
Yeah, it was definitely a little girl.
Okay, well that's pretty amazing. What was Martin's reaction when you talked to him?
Well, Martin's reaction was kind of normal because it seems like he's been having these incidences quite often here.
Poor Martin.
I know, man.
This poor guy. All he wanted to do was mop the floor.
Just mop the damn floor and get out. And he can't. He can't.
Poor guy.
Yeah, and so imagine that. So, and I remember Dan telling me this, getting a hold of me and saying, dude, it was a scream. I'm in the restroom and I hear this scream. And it really, really actually jarred him. He was like, what was that? And so once that happens, then Dan has to go try to find out what's going on, and then he ends up running into Martin. And let's talk about what Martin had. Do you have anything else?
Well, no. It's just that Martin was working the location that day, obviously. Right?
Yeah, so he's right outside. He's not in the servants' wing. He's out probably, I think, in the grand hall.
Okay.
Which connects to the servants' wing, so you can hear it right there.
Yeah, he said. Dan was in the ground. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Let's hear what Martin has to say.
Okay.
It was really early in the morning. I don't.
It was a Sunday, he told me.
The park wasn't even open.
Mm-hmm.
No people around whatsoever. As I was just doing my thing, cleaning, and this girl's scream echoes through the whole house. It was slight. It was like. Well, I mean, it was like a high-pitched scream, but it echoed. But Dan heard it up there, imagine. So I'm not sure exactly where it happened, but I just heard the echo. Kind of felt like if it was coming from outside as well. So as soon as I heard it, my chills just shivered up my skin. I ran out the front door of the house.
You did?
Mm-hmm. And then I was really scared. I'm like, damn, did I just hear that? And I think I was going to go drink water, and Dan steps out of the break room. He goes, hey, he asked me, do you have someone in the house? And I was like, no. I'm like, no, I have no one. He goes, because I heard someone screaming. I'm like, you heard that too? I'm like, yeah. And I was scared.
And it was that loud.
Mm-hmm.
It was loud enough for you to go. Not like it was a neighborhood kid or something. It was from within this home.
Yes, within the house more.
Yeah.
Because it could easily echo in here. You know?
Right.
So I just ran out. How to catch a breather.
Right. It's so amazing to me that these two guys would hear the same scream.
Yeah.
And there's nothing there.
Right.
Nothing going on.
Yeah.
In the mansion, and he's just mopping up, cleaning up. How in the world can they hear? Now, they can never tell where it's coming from. That's what's interesting to me. They always say, well, it was echoing, but it sounded like it was over here. Dan doesn't. Mm-hmm. What? I don't understand that. I don't understand where the scream comes from. Being the skeptic that I am, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. Where's the larynx, first of all, and the ghost to make a scream? But
for two people to hear it, though,
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
And we know that there's a little girl in the house. We know that there's a little boy has been seen. We'll get into those as well. So, what was that? He said it was a little girl scream, but it could have been a little boy scream because he's really young, the kid that's been seen. So, and are they doing that just to freak them out, or is something happening within the house that we don't know about, that they're being chased or whatever? Who knows? But I thought that was just fascinating. That they both heard it.
So you think when they're saying it was a little girl, they were both very positive it was a little girl.
Yeah.
So it probably wasn't a boy.
Yeah.
More than likely, right? Because they both identified it separately.
Yeah, I guess so. But isn't that wild? I think it's awesome, man. I just think it's great. And we have had we heard before in the kitchen, historic kitchen, where Matt remember it was Tim, Matt, Steve, and myself, and only Matt heard the hello.
Right.
Here's two guys in separate parts of the mansion. One's in the dumper, and the other guy's mopping out in the front.
Wait. Did I miss that? He was on the toilet when he heard the scream? Is that what he said?
Why would you say that?
I
don't think that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, he was in the restroom. I wouldn't say that. He was in the restroom.
You would just use dumper. Okay.
Okay. Well, but that's okay.
All right.
Wow.
So this is Ranger Steve Clark's story.
Okay.
All right. This is Voices in the Night.
Ooh. This is one of my all-time favorites.
You have a lot of favorites.
Well,
yeah. For good reason.
Listen, yeah, for good reason, because I did a lot of research. But this one especially, and I'm gonna set you up with this one because this needs a setup. We would do high-end events at Greystone. We had Barack Obama there one time, and some dignitaries and things like that. I'm not going to tell you who was there. Steve will tell you. It was a big night.
A lot of big nights.
A lot of big nights.
We had CAA. They had their New Year's party?
No, it was a Christmas party.
Christmas party.
Ooh, man.
Who was there?
Oh, Lord have
George
mercy.
Clooney.
Oh, yeah. God. And De Niro. All the greats were there. What a night. We'll just not get into that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, it was fun.
But on this night, we're talking about, I worked, in essence, the day shift. I was involved with helping set up and getting things ready. And Steve Clark was the senior ranger, and Dan, I'm sure they were both there. I know Steve was there, but Dan was probably there as well because they were going to make sure that this ran smoothly. They got all the lead rangers and everybody. And so usually on a night like that, they will oversee the event. The event's usually over at 10 o'clock. Everybody has to be out by 10. So Steve always, then there's the cleanup. You have a cleanup crew, a catering crew that comes in like we did with Tony and Glenda. Remember the catering crew? So they'll come in, they'll clean up stuff and everything. And then the Rangers, usually Steve or Dan, will oversee the closing up of the mansion. A lot of times, Steve, who was so great, would go to his staff and say, guys, I got this. Head home, because he lived close by. He was close by.
Very close.
Yeah. So he'd just say, you guys go home. I'll take care of the rest, and I'll lock up. And on this night, I'm sure he wished some of the guys stayed with him, because here's what happened.
But Prince and Princess of Monaco were doing their fundraiser here, and it was late. And I was 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock. I pulled up because it was a Saturday.
It was that late when you pulled up?
Yeah, because it was after we closed everything up, and then, I got all my stuff and gear, and then I'm like, I forgot my lunchbox up in the refrigerator here. And by then I'm completely stripped down. I just grabbed my keys, and I don't even think I had my flashlight.
No, because you went back to your truck.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just thought I could run up and get my lunch and come back down. So I come in, and it was dark. Because I don't know why I didn't turn the lights on either. I didn't turn the lights on because I didn't want to startle. I just came in the door, and it was right here, and then I started hearing two men talk. I was maybe halfway up the staircase.
Now, where did you hear them talking?
Well, I couldn't tell. I just heard voices in the house. And I'm like, oh my God, and I'm listening. There's somebody in the house. And I couldn't tell what was upstairs or downstairs because it was just mumbling, talking, two mumbling voices. So I just remember going up very quietly to see if it was up. And as I was moving up, it seemed like it was getting further away. So then I came back down. And again, I didn't turn any lights on because and I'm listening here, and it sounded like they were in the kitchen. And I'm like, oh shit, there's two people here.
Now, you haven't made any noises to let them know that you're here yet.
No, I'm just quiet, and I'm listening, and I could hear two voices. I couldn't quite hear what they were saying, but I could hear two distinct male voices. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to turn the lights on. I'm not going to surprise him. So I'm like, I'm going to go back to my car, get my phone, and call the police. And then just as I'm ready to go out the door and being real quiet, about here, I hear one of the guys singing. He starts singing.
Do you know what was it a song back in the
Yeah, it
day?
sounded like an old 20s, just a little a cappella song, just singing. So I snuck out, got my phone, called the police, and I'm like, hurry, get somebody here. And then they came, I'm standing out there, and I'm like, there are 2 people in here. So we went in, looked around, went to the kitchen, of course, went everywhere, there was nobody. And then we searched the whole house. And they're like, well, and the first thing they're like, well, was it with the lights on? I'm like, no. And they're like, well, why would 2 guys be talking in the dark? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't think about it. I just heard voices, and then the singing. So.
And then their final analysis was, well, there's nobody in here.
Final analysis, yeah, the house was empty, and the alarm by then was not working because I came through here, so that was when we didn't have an alarm.
Yes.
So we went through the entire house with them, They went through the hallway, I went through the rooms, upstairs, downstairs, and there was nobody here.
And what did they say to you? Just like, well, we didn't find. They didn't
No, I'm
comment.
like, sorry, I know what I heard.
What do you say? Sorry, I know what I heard.
Yeah. It is, by the way, the sound, as you heard, the reason the hum at the end, we're right outside the new kitchen, which has all these refrigerators and everything.
And also his radio, I should have said it at the head end. You're going to hear a lot of interviews with a lot of interference because of the Rangers' radios.
Yeah.
Actually does that to the recorder and all that stuff, but that's normal. I almost stopped it.
Yeah,
He said, don't do it. It's like, okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but what an amazing story. So when he says I pulled up, he had finished doing everything, and he pulled his truck up into into the east courtyard right by the firehouse, and he forgot his lunch pail.
So this was at 2:30 in the morning.
Yes. And he goes, and at that time, you're just going, I know the place so well. Maybe the moon or something. I can see the steps. I'll come in. I won't put on I don't have a flashlight with me. I don't put on the lights. I don't know why I didn't put on the lights. And he just walked in, and that's when he heard the sound. So he's coming in the servant's door just outside the new kitchen.
Which is right by the firehouse.
Right, yeah. So he's walking in, and suddenly he's hearing 2 guys talking. I mean, it's so crazy because all these stories, and we talk about this, you don't think paranormal right off the bat.
Right.
Like when with Ranger Chan, that'll be coming up, I think. Yeah, I think it's coming up. The people appear solid, some don't, but sounds. Glenn Gregory was it, or Chad Nelson? Chad coming down because he hears a party in the kitchen.
Right. Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're hearing things. You're going like, oh, there must be a film shoot or something's going on. You're not thinking paranormal right off the bat
because it's to them. It sounds real.
Yeah,
it's absolutely real.
And it would be too bizarre for it to be paranormal.
Right.
It can't be. There are not 2 guys in the house talking.
Right.
There can't be a guy who starts singing in like 1930s a cappella.
Yeah, that's not a paranormal activity. That's something real.
Yeah. So just, I got 2 guys in the mansion. I'll get the police because they know they shouldn't be in there. Isn't that fantastic? Prince of Monaco that night.
That's a pretty big night.
Yeah.
Do I remember Steve saying that the police were pissed off?
Well, they weren't kind to him in that they're like, okay, there's nobody in here. Now, he was being kind, but I remember him telling me that they were like, there's nobody in the house. I don't know what to tell you. That kind of a thing.
Right.
And that's why he said at the end, I know what I heard. And, but there was a thing for a while, and I don't know if it still is, probably not now, because the police, new recruits come in and take over, guys retire, all that stuff. So you got new people that come in, and they don't know from the mansion honestly being haunted. I've heard it's haunted, but so they're approaching it in a wholly different angle, like, this is not true, it's not haunted, and you can prove it to me, that kind of a thing. So when you get new people that come in, they're like, come on, man, nothing's going on here, everything's fine. So I'm sure they saw it at that point, and this is, I don't know when it was, it's probably 10 years ago, at least 15 years ago, that this happened. So it was the old group of guys that we knew. We all knew the police there and everything, and they were probably just like, "There's nothing happened here." You know, you called us out, and in the early days and some of the other days, and you'll hear. I almost said his name. I can't say his name. This police officer who's going to be in the show and episodes down the line, he says, I think he says, if he doesn't say it in the show, he said it to me, that the police don't like to come to Greystone at night. They don't want to do it. They want to pass it off to somebody else because they know the history of the place. Now, this guy happens to have the gift, and he was struggling during the day when I did the interview with him.
Right, I remember that.
So, okay, let's move. That wasn't that cool? Wasn't that the greatest?
That was a good one.
That was the greatest.
No, that's
okay.
And Steve's always fascinating.
Yeah, he's awesome because he has the gift. So
Yeah. The gift is for those who are just joining,
feeling, hearing, sensing, smelling, and you know what? Here, I always think this because something like this never happened to me. I always think if I was Luz outside the terrace.
Luz is a ranger.
Luz Rodriguez, who you've heard in a prior episode, would I have seen Ned? If I was in Steve Clark's place, would I have heard the music?
The answer is no.
Well, you don't know. Because
Well,
think about this.
No.
Think about Chad. No, he doesn't have the gift. And he hears a party going on in the kitchen. So you don't know.
That's true, but you were with Matt and Tim, and he heard the hello, and nobody else did. So it's not guaranteed, right?
That's true. It's not guaranteed.
Yeah,
But does Matt have the gift? I don't think so. I didn't hear that from Tim or Matt. I don't think so. But he did hear it, and we didn't. So there is something to that. If you have the gift that you either they want to connect with you or they know they can connect with you because you have that aura of the gift, and you will be able to, just like Chrisa, right? You'll be able to, oh my God, do you feel that? All that stuff.
Okay, let me ask you. On the last episode, we talked about the Australian family, and the daughter. Does she have the gift because she was touched, or not necessarily?
No, and my feeling is that, and there's going to be more touching coming up too, not between us, right? There's going to be more touching down in the bit. Well, I'm not going. You'll hear it. You'll hear about it.
Yeah, don't tip it.
No, I'm not going to. But no, I believe that there was a child spirit in the home that tried to connect with the other girl who was a child. That's what that was.
Okay. That's your opinion.
That's my opinion. Okay. I think that's what took place. And that's why it's not that she has the gift, because she said, I don't believe in all this stuff my mom does. I don't.
Right.
I think that a child spirit within the home tried to connect with this girl. That's why she was chosen. Probably kind of same height, had long hair. It was the perfect storm.
If this is real,
yeah,
and the way it works, she would want to play.
Yeah.
If that's how it works.
Yeah. And you can ask Kristen about a spirit wanting to play. We'll hear about that in an upcoming.
Kristen is a worker that was there.
She was my boss.
And you will hold off on that story until we get to it.
What is next, please?
The next is Ranger Gabe, Lead Ranger Gabe, and he's a very quiet guy.
Very quiet, yeah.
And basically, I want to know how he came forward with his story.
I asked him.
You asked him?
Yeah.
So how did that? Well, you just walk up to him?
Well, what I was doing at that time for this story, I was now in the throes of writing the book. So I was looking for anybody that may have had an experience. I didn't think Gabe did. He's a very quiet guy, does his job, goes home. But I thought, what the hell? I'll give Gabe a shot.
He didn't say a word, this guy.
He didn't say anything. So he's walking by and I said, hey, Gabe. He goes, hey, Clete. And I said, hey, Gabe, I got a question for you. He goes, yeah. And I said, have you ever had, like, any paranormal thing happen to you here? Oh, yeah. And I was like, what? Really? And he goes, yeah. And he had, like, 3 things, I think, and I think we're using all 3, I think.
In the series?
Within the series? This first season. So this was my conversation with him, and let me set it up so you know what he's talking about. Because remember, I think we said might have been the last episode with the historic kitchen, that The new kitchen upstairs, remember that they got rid of like 4 or 5 of the servants' rooms. One was the servants' dining room.
That was the last episode, I believe.
Yeah.
6.
So right down, remember, we're talking about the servants' hallway, first floor. So right outside the historic kitchen is the servants' hallway. And at the end of that hallway going east was the door. It's now storage. Was the door that opened up into the servants' dining room. It was an area that they could have their own food and hang out, right? This is what he's talking about, going down to that room and what happened to him going down to that room.
Okay. In this conversation, I think there's a little wind noise in this interview. But
I might have talked to him outside because I think there was something was happening out there.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
That's why?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say one of the most, scariest one was, it was probably on a Sunday, maybe I'd say about 4 or 5 years ago. I was working along with one of the new park rangers. His name was Raul, I believe. And this was a wedding. This was at daytime. Mm-hmm. And so we went inside the house, inside the mansion, through the west door. And so we were trying to access the door that leads to the servants' dining room. And as we were trying to unlock that, we started hearing a loud bang coming through the walls. And it just kept coming closer and closer. And we both started looking at each other like, what is that? And, as it came closer and closer, we're like, well, what do? We need to get into this room. We need to get something out of there. But as it just came too close to us, you know what? We looked at each other and we just ran out the door. People outside the wedding, they were just looking at us like, what happened? And, we told them, but, it scared them. But, these are the kind of things that happen.
Was the sound getting louder and louder towards you, or just the same sound all the way?
So it was basically the same sound. It was just coming closer. Mm-hmm. That's what it was. So it started maybe 2 feet away from us, but it was deep in the walls, the sound, and it just kept getting closer and closer, and that's when we just split. We ran out. It just sounded like somebody was hitting that wall, and it just kept coming closer and closer to us. It haunts me to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have to go into the house for anything, and I'm always on the lookout.
Boy, oh boy.
Isn't that the greatest?
As the series goes along here, as the episodes build, I become more and more of a believer because I know all these guys.
Yeah.
And they're not making up stories. And remember, I think we've talked about this before on the show, is that when you talk to these people in the early stages or we interviewed them, we didn't even know it at certain points that we were making a book. We were just compiling stories.
Yeah.
So they weren't doing it just to be in, I'm going to be in his book. And
No. And you're right, because I just wanted, before I left, I just wanted to gather all the stories I could. And then it became the book. But imagine, here's the lead ranger, and I love this guy. He's a cool dude. Running out of the house, and the wedding people are there, and they're like looking at him, and they're like, "What happened?" And he tells them.
No, that
he tells them, "We heard something inside the wall." I mean, that just cracks me up, because it's like you'd think he might go, nothing. We just come up with something, but don't say there are ghosts here.
No. Just say, we forgot our lunch, or we're in a rush. Our hour is up.
We saw a mouse, or anything. Yeah.
Well, you always ask really good questions, and then there's always follow up. You go, I wish we would have asked him. What was their reaction when you told them?
Yeah. And again, remember, I wasn't planning on doing what we're doing here. That's why it does kind of bother me that they always come up with things like, you know what I could have done. But the fact that he's with Raul, this other ranger who's no longer there, but he's alive, but he's just no longer there. And hearing the same thing once again, two people hearing the same thing. We're going to have something like that again when we go down the basement, and we'll get into that
Right, we
too.
haven't heard that one yet.
Right. And it's the same type of thing. And by the way, the basement's right downstairs from where they were.
Oh.
So is it the same thing? We'll see. That one, the one downstairs you're going to hear in the basement is more frightening than that. They're hearing something within the wall, not down the basement, Gabe. They're hearing something within the wall. So it's not like a rat on the outside. There's hearing something within the walls. And that to me is like, what's within the walls? Nothing can be in the wall except a ghost. And I think originally when they start hearing that, it's like, what was that? And then in their head, and especially Gabe, because Gabe had a really scary thing happen to him at the grand entry. I don't even know if we did that, Chris. It's so long ago. But I don't know. I don't want to get into it, Kacey. We didn't. We'll save it for maybe season 17.
When you hear the basement stories, those are nuts.
And we're coming up to those.
Yeah, we're coming up to those.
So that was pretty cool. I thought that was
good.
Awesome.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Now about we've had a lot of apparitions that are seen by Luz.
In
both the card room and the dining room. Right.
I think you remember those. Remember that she was out cleaning the windows and she looks in. She sees somebody who looked like, she said, Ned. Then she goes into the dining room another day and she looks in and he's transparent in the dining room.
Right. And this interview is with Steve.
Okay.
Basically.
Oh! And this is the apparition in the servants' hallway. I think that's what we're talking about.
She's hitting me.
Yes. You're going to love it.
Again, as you have said, she has seen these apparitions, but none that put up a fight.
Well, that's the difference with this story. Right? So Lou saw this. Hey, he's just standing there. Hey, Ned, remember that? This is different. Now, I'm not going to give anything away, but we can play it. I'm going to set it up a little bit, but let's see what Steve says. And if he doesn't say what I have in my head, then I'll say it at the end.
Okay.
Of it.
Okay.
Yep.
It's number 5.
Thank you.
And I was showing her the safe here, and we were talking, and I was like this, and she was kind of like here, and she saw a lady.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I did have to set it up. Steve's brother asked him if he would take this woman in for a tour, who was a psychic medium. And she probably was, whatever, just saying. She was a psychic medium. She enters, and Steve starts giving her the tour, and now he's telling us, or me, what he did with her and where they went. That's what he's talking about now.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay. Now it's making sense.
Yep.
In the hall, go from like she said just cross, which sounded like she went to the dining room to, actually she said she went that way, like coming up from the basement into the servants' dining room. And I'm like, and she goes, there's somebody down there. I mean, she was like, she thought it was a real person. And I went down and there was nobody there, and I came back, and that's when she's just standing here like, and I'm like, are you okay? And she's like...
She was shaking.
She was just like, oh my God. And she's like, you can't see her? Because apparently the woman was with her. And she's like, look at my hair. And her hair was filling with static electricity. I mean, like starting to lift up. And she goes, look at my hair. She's touching my hair. And I was just confused. I'm like, what? And she goes, look at my hair. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it was like starting to, like, it was like a balloon was on it, starting to lift up. And then she started like almost screaming. She's like, she's hitting me. And I'm just like, hey, we got to get out of here. And we both ran out to the portico. And she was in tears. I mean, she really felt she was being attacked. And she came in because she said she was sensitive and all this, and she didn't even make it through the first part of the house, and she left. She didn't want to come back in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we only saw the first half of the first floor.
And that was enough.
Yeah. And she left, and my brother called me later, and I forgot about it. She was Greg's friend. And he's like, what the happened, dude? I'm like, I don't know. She saw some woman. And then she described her as like a housekeeper, and apparently didn't want her in this part of the house. And then I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, and And then she's like, oh my God, she's hitting me. She's hitting me. And she's like bending her head down, like trying to miss the swats.
Right.
And I guess the woman just started swatting her up on the side of the head. And that's when we ran out. And that was probably I always tell people there's 2 times when I ran out of the house. That was one with her, because I was scared too. I was more scared for her, because I don't know, I was confused too. I just, that was early on.
Yeah.
Before I really got a grasp on what was going on in the house.
Wow. Is that wild? I was really getting into that, man. He brought me through that story again just now. It was like, wow. Because I remember him. What was your question?
No, I was just going to say a couple things. One is, do you know anything about that psychic? I mean, like, is Sheila wacky or not?
No.
I don't think that's the case, but I'm just saying.
No. I think she was a friend of Steve's brother, and he just said she would love to go in there because she has abilities and she just wants to feel the house.
Okay.
So
had no idea it was going to be this crazy.
Instead of feeling the house felt her with a good right hand.
Yeah.
And he would show me. That's why I was doing that when she was standing there. And she's like, "Oh my God!" And what he said also was, remember at the very beginning, I kind of messed it up, but she said, I saw someone down at the other end of the east end of that hallway. So Steve goes, where? And where the dining room is, right? Mm-hmm. It used to be. He walks down. There's nobody there. He comes back and says, there's nobody here. And she goes, look, she's hitting, she's touching me. And he said the static electricity came out. And at one point, she said to Steve, I think he forgot this. She said to Steve, there she is on the steps. And Steve was like, because he doesn't want anything to do with any of this, right?
No.
He's got the gift, but he doesn't want the gift. So he turns around. He's like, what? And he looked up at the top of the stairs. There's nobody there. And he goes, I don't see anybody. She's hitting me. And he turns around and she's taking like swats from this creature, or this creature, the spirit.
Yeah.
Right? She's like, he said her head was like smacking, like it was like, And that's when he said, oh my God, the senior ranger, Mr. Clark. And by the way,
the one everybody looks to.
Yes, of course. And that's not the only time, was it, Steve? And we're going to get to that other time also. But is that wild?
Yeah.
That is just, to me, I wish I would be there for stuff like that.
Right.
And by the way, static electricity in the hair, that's going to come up again. That's another theme.
Well, that's what I wrote down. Static electricity. How often was that? I mean, I had been up there for 18 years, never felt static electricity. So how often does that? Because
it depends on the person. Listen, you mentioned this woman was a psychic medium. She has the gift. Once again, it's the same theme we talk about all the time. She has the gift, so they can connect. This woman connected with a right cross. This spirit. But the point is this.
Yes, what is the point?
Thank you. The point is, when you have the gift, they will try to connect with you. Spirits will try to connect with you. Now you've got a psychic medium who, this is what she does for a living, I'm guessing, comes in, you're like a live wire. You're an antenna that they all go, oh my God, right there. We can talk to her. For some reason now, and also, I don't know if you remember this, but which we didn't talk about, by the way, the historic kitchen. I don't think we got into this, and I'll bring it up really quickly here.
Yeah,
and that was, do you remember Lisa Williams? I don't know if we talked about that on this show.
No, I don't believe we did.
Lisa Williams, great psychic, really good psychic from England. She came over and she wanted to do a walkthrough of the house because Merv Griffin at that time had a show about Lisa because she was such a great, and she gave him a reading, and he went, oh my God, I want to do a show with you, with just showing people, you giving readings and going to places. So he wanted Greystone to be visited by Lisa at night to see what that was like. Well, the city said you can't do it. We don't allow filming overnight. He went to city council. Merv Griffin went to city council. He was a billionaire. And he said, I pay $1 gazillion in taxes. I'm asking for one night, small little crew for overnight. You can at least give me that. And they did.
Yeah. Money talks.
So Lisa shows up and she goes inside the house, and she was in the kitchen at one point she just said in the kitchen, I'm not going to give some stuff away, but she said, "Oh my God, this is Lisa right here. I'm just doing it."
The English accent?
Yes, absolutely. She said, "Oh my God, I feel pregnant. My stomach hurts. My stomach hurts. I feel pregnant." Now I'm off camera watching her going, interesting, interesting. Nobody else picked up on it. Once we cut, she said there is a spirit in here that's very angry. That goes back and forth, back and forth.
Why did she say that after they cut?
Because she was talking to me. I think at one point, she may have said it on the show. You can look it up. Lisa Williams, Greystone. I think it's on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Now, whether they kept it in or not, I don't know. But I remember her talking about that there was an angry spirit that were getting in her way. And she's going from, I think she was saying, from the historic kitchen to the breakfast room, which makes Chad's story correct.
Mm-hmm.
There was that
back and forth, back and forth.
But point being that she was angry about that we were in her way. Well, if Steve and this woman go into the hallway and they're right outside the kitchen, they're in her way. And for some reason, she didn't like it and went after this woman and gave her a few swats. And that was it for Steve. Ran out, she ran out, and the gal left. So she barely got into the tour, and she never came back.
Right. I could see why she wouldn't come back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's really interesting because if you're a psychic medium, you
You
should be
want
able
that to happen, but that's what they're there for.
Right.
And then when it happens, they're so freaked out they can't.
That's with all the shows, right? All the Ghost Adventures, all the ones that I watch them all. Project Fear, my favorite, by the way. I watch all the shows, and
You have too much free time.
well, with good reason. They go in there to these homes, Trans-Allegheny Prison. They go into these places looking for these horrible things to happen, and when they do, they're screaming and running into each other.
They want it to happen, and yet it freaks them out.
Yeah, but you know what? I wanted it to happen. It happened to me, and it freaked me out, and we're going to get into it, although I may block that. I may not allow that to happen in this show because it's too embarrassing, to be honest with you.
We are going to.
It's a horrible story. I don't think we're going to do it.
You're not going to block anything.
No.
Let's get to the sound.
Who runs the show?
Let's get to the sound of the show, the episode sound.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
I don't. Why don't we just listen to it and then we can discuss it?
Yeah, I don't even know what it is.
All right. Well, perfect. That'll be perfect.
What was that? So it's a double. But what is that? That's a weird sound.
It could have been the recorder. I don't know.
It's being run through a phaser thing. That's why you're hearing the.
Yeah,
but
I probably could have treated it to get out of that, but you could hear that.
It was probably too. But it's a double, and listen to it. It's not the same sound. It's too dang. Go ahead. Isn't that wild?
It's very strange. You don't remember where that was recorded, do you?
It had to be second floor landing where I usually did it. I put the recorder maybe twice in the servant's wing because I didn't get much out of there.
You did second floor landing, but did you do basement a lot or not?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just that one time.
Because I didn't want to go down there and put it in there.
Oh, okay.
But when we did, we'll talk about the basement in another show. That's coming up. Is that coming up?
It's coming up in a while. We've been building the shows. I don't know.
It is coming up. I think it's next. Yes. Basement, episode 8.
Yes, it is 8. 8, 9, 10.
Ooh. Okay.
8, 9, 10. 3 parts for the basement. There's so much activity in the basement that we had to do 3 shows.
Oh, God. The basement, I'm telling you, man.
Control.
And I love that home and everything, but when I go down there, and I had to go down there by myself a lot of times, I had to go down there. I went down there with one of the police officers for the show that's coming up. I went down there for my own thing that happened to me that was just so horrible. I didn't want to talk about it. I don't want to.
We're going to talk about it. All right. This is the favorite. That's the favorite story of the show.
Good, Chris.
You'll see. The audience will find out.
We'll let them judge.
Embarrassing.
Let's let you judge as to whether we should have that show because you don't want to hear something happen to me. It's really about these other people that have things happen. I hope you agree with me.
If you hear this and want to put it in the comments that you want to hear the show.
Do not comment on
the embarrassing story of Clete because we're going to fit that in there. I don't care.
Do not comment on this show.
Anyway.
So, what's up?
Make sure, to wrap it up.
Okay.
It was good. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell to follow us as best you can. And
can I say one thing?
Sure, absolutely.
Basement, physical attacks, sounds, and poltergeists.
That's what's coming up.
Yeah, but that's like I think that's just in part 1 of episode 8.
Yeah, we've got so much going on.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm sorry. Go ahead. So you were saying.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, if you have any comments, please leave them below or wherever you can. And if you have any comments that are personal, or if you've had an experience at Greystone, paranormal experience at Greystone, we would love to hear about it. You might even get on the show. You can leave that at ghostsofgreystone.com. That's where you could go to leave your message instead of putting it in the comments.
Yeah, and if you'd rather not hear my story, put that in the comments below because I think that's important.
They want to hear it.
Because I want to know what you want.
They want to hear it. And also, if you're interested in the book, it was the first 5 shows we never even mentioned it. If you're interested in the book, it's on our website, ghostsofgreystone.com. And you'll get a couple gifts with it, and we send it free and all that.
Yeah, and
it's
just
really
so you
fun.
know, and I'm not going to hammer the book because I listen to other podcasts and they go, by the way, but we're going to do this as a series, maybe 20 shows or whatever, and that might be it for us. But the book, so you're going to hear like maybe 50 stories.
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't added them up.
And
20, 24, probably 50.
Let's say 50 stories out of
50 or 60.
Okay, out of how many?
237.
So the book is in depth like these, and so you can sit by a fireside and have a cup of tea and sit there and go, oh my God! And
very relaxing evening.
Read the book.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, we thank you for being here. By the way, tonight, can't thank you enough. And I always say this to anyone that I can: just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. Thank you so much for being with us. Comments below. You don't want to see my show.
See you next week.
100 horses in 5 freight trains couldn't drag me into that early grave. I've cashed in the mistakes I've made while God rode shotgun from 1,000,000 miles away. I don't wake in sorrow, I don't walk in shame, I don't deal in hearsay, I don't dwell in blame. Sometimes it's best to forget what I know and what they say, but this ain't that time, and this ain't that day. Shame, I don't deal in hearsay, I don't dwell in blame. Sometimes it's best to forget what I know and what they say, but this ain't that time, and this ain't that day. Riding till the trail grows cold, where the hillsides burn, amber and smoke. The sheep and the shepherd are lost on different roads, blinded by hate, blinded by hope. I don't wake in sorrow, I don't walk in shame, I don't deal in hearsay, I don't dwell in blame. Sometimes This ain't that time.